Tonight on Our News Weekend, a quiet morning turned tragic on Grand Bahama when a man lost his life in a single car crash on Queens Highway. Police say the accident happening just as the day began and is a stark reminder of the dangers of our roads. Plus, F&M leader Michael Pintard rallies supporters this week, blasting the Davis administration for failing on healthcare and crime, urging voters to make their voices heard. And later, we'll tell you a UN report that shows healthy food here costs nearly 5% more than the regional average. Experts say backyard farms and local markets could help. Our News Weekend edition starts right now. This is Our News Weekend. Thanks so much for joining us. I'm Kendino Knowles. A Grand Bahama man has died following a tragic traffic accident on Queens Highway early this morning. Police say the single car crash happened just as residents were beginning their day, leaving one community in shock. The incident marks yet another deadly collision on the island's roads this year, raising renewed concerns about speeding, road safety, and the need for extra caution during the early morning hours. Officer in charge of the traffic division is Superintendent of Police Christopher Ferguson.
Yeah, sometime around 6 a.m. this morning, the police got a call of a traffic accident on Queens Highway. As a result, officers responded to the scene, and on arrival, they met one gold-color LaCrosse vehicle with extensive damages to the front end. Officers made a check of that vehicle and discovered a male inside the vehicle that appears lifeless.
Emergency medical services later confirmed the man had died on the scene, and according to Ferguson, the early investigation points to the driver losing control of the car before crashing into a utility pole. Police are withholding the victim's identity until the family is notified, but they confirm he's a Bahamian man from the community. While police couldn't immediately confirm the exact time of the crash, Ferguson says the car was discovered just after sunrise.
Our initial investigation at this time that this vehicle was heading west on Queens Highway when the driver somehow lost control and veered on the left side of the road and collided into electrical utility pole. As a result of the damages to the vehicle and also the injuries to the male, he succumbed to his injuries on scene.
And a relaxing swim turned tragic for an American visitor on Bimini Friday afternoon. Police there are investigating after the 59-year-old man was pulled from the water unresponsive in Allistown. The incident reportedly happened shortly after 2 p.m. when officers say they were called to a beach and found the man lying on the shore. He was rushed to a nearby clinic but was later pronounced dead. Preliminary reports suggest he went for a swim before being discovered floating face down in the water. An autopsy will be performed to determine the exact cause of death. Authorities have not yet released the victim's identity. And now to Exuma, where this week a group of Nassau-based media, hosted by an organization called Save Exuma Alliance, dedicated to opposing aspects of a hotel and marina development on that island. It was their way of bringing national spotlight to the project, which is more than a week away from breaking ground. Jerome Sawyer was there.
The big draw for a lot of our visitors is the natural beauty of the place. They want to come here. They want to see these pristine blue waters, the white, sandy, beautiful beaches, the lovely sandbars. I think the common denominator about what brings people to the Exumas is the quiet and the remoteness and that type of charm, whereas you're here to disconnect and unplug.
Kieran Miller makes his living from that natural beauty. The owner of Staniel Key Adventures is an outspoken critic of the Rosewood property about to be built by the Integra Group.
I point to you to the failed projects of the past of mega resorts, okay? It's just not, for whatever reason, it doesn't work. It's not a good fit for this place.
He and others point to the existing highly successful boutique-style resorts with minimal impact. Then there is Tito Baldwin, an internationally certified Bahamian boat captain who's made a living in these waters, who's questioning the viability and safety of the proposed marinas.
But the marinas that they want to do on that side is exposed to the open ocean. It might damage the yachting community for a very long time. And that's why a lot of yachts that come out here, you don't see them coming inside and anchoring here. The currents are ridiculous.
But probably the most contentious is the proposed dredging within the North Bay for a service dock and a proposed seawall.
You can't put a seawall where the tide goes in and out. It's not going to ever work. Don't care how you put it, it's not going to work.
And you get in the water and you see these things and you connect with the environment, not just the living creatures as it relates to the turtles, the fish. You might see a nurse shark swim by and things like that. We're a simple area, and we just want to keep it that way.
The fear is it could permanently damage the food chain and natural marine habitat of this area.
I am opposed to a high-density impact development that's never been tried except for the exception of Norman's Key. It's the duty of the Bahamian government to go ahead and engage with the Bahamian people and say, okay, look, let's not just hear the voices of a few that want to put some dollars in their pocket. Let's hear the voices of the people that actually live, work. Let's hear the voices of the tourists that come here and spend thousands and thousands of dollars on their yachts.
Now, with only days to go before the government and Integra come together for the groundbreaking, the group's opposition grows louder, hoping for a change in course on this project.
We already set precedent that if whoever else comes along in the future to decide to develop, because a lot of these developers aren't here to stay eternally, then, eventually what's going to happen to the...
Reporting for Our News, I'm Jerome Sawyer.
All right, thanks for that, Jerome. A theme park, hotel, and cruise ship pair could soon be coming to Long Island. The multi-million-dollar project called Calypso Cove is being pitched as a major boost for tourism. Tourism Minister and Deputy Prime Minister Chester Cooper says the project is now moving through environmental approvals, but developers are already flagging some concerns. During a recent airport tour, Cooper told Our News the Director of Aviation has already met with investors who questioned the airlift to the island and how quickly airport upgrades will happen.
We're fixing the airport in Long Island. We cannot take a full load there. Once the new airport is done, the new runway, we're going to be able to take a full regional jet, ATR 70 passengers there, and maybe even the 737. So things are looking up. When we talk about airports, we're not just talking about the infrastructure, but we're talking about really the improvement in way of life, building capacity to allow there to be more robust business opportunities for locals and for.
And Cooper says government is also in active talks to secure funding for the redevelopment of Glass Window Bridge.
And within the next 2 weeks, he will travel to the UK to finalize funding for the redevelopment of the Glass Window Bridge. This has been something that has caused some concerns over the decades, and I'm delighted to tell you that we're doing something about it.
All right, when Our News Weekend comes back from the break, F&M leader Michael Pintard urging Bahamians to vote, why he says he believes the Davis administration has failed on health care and crime. Plus, leaders and citizens pause this week to remember Sir Lynden, the father of our nation, whose legacy continues to inspire democracy, freedom, and opportunity. And fruits and veggies cost more here than most of the region, leaving many families struggling. Experts say backyard gardens and local markets could be the simple solution we've been missing. We've got more from a UN report we told you about at the top when Our News Weekend returns.
Diet-friendly special.
Free National Movement leader Michael Pintard urging supporters to get out and vote in the next election. Speaking Thursday night at a party ratification event, Pintard criticized the Davis administration, saying it has dropped the ball on key issues like health care and crime.
I want you to know if you stay home, you can get 5 more years of Michael Dobble. If you stay home, you can get 5 more years of Wayne Monroe. If you stay home, you're going to get 5 more years of Philip. And I believe at 80, he should be spending, time doing things he like, going fishing, spending time with the family. If you stay home, we risk reputational damage.
The FNM has ratified candidates across several constituencies. Michaela Barnett Ellis in Killarney, National Vice Chairman Lincoln Deal in Freetown, former MP and Deputy Chairman of the FNM Travis Robinson in Fort Charlotte, Secretary General Serfent Roll in Tall Pines, and Heather McDonough in Angliston, while Denali Penn Mackey in Southern Shores and Travania Clark Hall in Seabreeze. The Progressive Liberal Party dismissed them as yes men, not ready for prime time. Pintard fired back, saying his team will lead with integrity and honesty.
Teamwork is what's happening. We want the new, who are energized, filled with vision alongside the veterans. It is important to have young and old lockstep together. It's important to have women and men similarly committed to your transformation together. We wanted leaders who are prepared to lead even when the cameras are not rolling, when the lights are off, during good times and bad times. That's what we did tonight.
And tonight we pause to remember the life and legacy of our nation's father, Sir Lynden Pindling. This week marked the anniversary of his passing, and family members and PLP supporters gathered at his gravesite at St. Agnes Cemetery to pay their respects. Joshua Williams was there and has more.
Earlier this week, the country paused to commemorate the 25th anniversary of the passing of Sir Lynden Pindling, the father of the nation. Sir Lynden is remembered as the architect of the modern Bahamas, leading the country to independence. Today, his legacy continues to inspire generations, with leaders calling on Bahamians to recommit to the ideals of freedom, democracy, and the opportunity he championed. Among those were Prime Minister Philip Davis, who was present at Sir Lynden's grave this week.
The Bahamas today, particularly our people, you perhaps would not recognize, but you live on in the memories and hearts of many of us and this nation, despite what they may say, despite what they may not believe or may not yet understand. You will continue to be in their hearts and minds.
Pindling served as the first black premier from 1967 to 1969 and as Prime Minister of the Bahamas from 1969 to 1992. He was the leader of the Progressive Liberal Party from 1956 to 1997 when he resigned from public life. 3 years later, Pindling died after a prolonged battle with prostate cancer. A state funeral was held at the Church of God of Prophecy on East Street on the 4th of September 2000, and he was laid to rest in St. Agnes Cemetery. Chairman of the New Providence Women's PLP branch, Kelverna Small, reflecting on what the moment meant for her and other women in the party.
This is very significant and emotional because I would have been one of those persons who were there when Sir Lynden served as the leader of this country and knew that the women were an inspirational and a very important part of his legacy as the leader, because if it wasn't for the women vote in '62 when we were able to vote, we would have not been the government and he would not have been our leader. And I feel with that legacy that he has left behind, we the women have something to carry on.
And despite the record number of women currently in Parliament, she says there needs to be more.
The women are the largest voting bloc in this country, and I feel that we have the least amount in the House of Assembly right now with 8 members. I think that should be increased to at least 30 to 35% women in the House of Assembly. Our voices need to be heard.
Reporting for Our News, I'm Joshua Williams.
All right, thanks so much for that, Josh. When our news weekend returns, why eating healthy in the Bahamas is breaking the bank. We'll tell you the UN report that says growing our own food and supporting local markets could make a real difference for families. And we'll also tell you the new tech program aiming to keep seniors healthy.
The contingent for the World Athletics Championships has been officially named, and we get you updated on what happened last night on the Diamond. Our sports weekend is up next.
Diet-friendly special.
I'm Tage Adderley back with our Sports Weekend. We're less than 2 weeks away from the World Athletics Championships in Tokyo, Japan. Let's meet the athletes who will wear the aqua, black, and gold. The 12-person squad that will make the 7,500-mile track was announced this week. These athletes participate in several disciplines, including sprints, hurdles, middle distance, and some field events. The team will include Denisha Cartwright, Anthea Charlton, and Devin Charlton, Printasia Johnson, Rima Otebor, Anthony Strawn, Charisma Taylor, Camille Rutherford, and Javonia Valcourt on the women's side. Kaiwan Culmer, Terrence Jones, and Donald Thomas are the men who will make the trip. Now, congratulations to our team. The World Athletics Championships begin September 13th, and you know we'll have the latest highlights on our newscast and on our social media pages. Now we're going to look around the diamond where Bahamians had a busy Friday night. New York Mets first base coach Anton Richardson was named the community champion by the team in yesterday's matchup against the Miami Marlins for his gracious work off the field. And then his team delivered an ungracious beatdown, winning 19-9. Juan Soto, Brandon Nemo, and Pete Alonso all hit home runs, and that was just the first 2 innings. Pitcher Jonah Tong made his debut, giving up 1 run in 6 innings. Josh Chisholm contributed to his New York Yankees' 10-2 win over the Chicago White Sox without even getting a hit. The second baseman went 0 for 3 with 2 walks, but he stole a base and scored twice in the win. Trent Grisham hit a grand slam the Jazz scored on to break the game wide open. Down in the minors, Arizona Diamondbacks prospect Christian Robinson had a huge night, hitting a single, a triple, and a home run, driving in 3 RBI to help his AAA Reno Aces beat the Sacramento River Cats 15-2. And Texas Rangers prospect Sebastian Walcott had a double and 2 RBI to help his Frisco Rough Riders get a 6-3 win over the San Antonio Missions. And before we go, USC wide receiver Prince Strawn is taking the field right now for the first time with his new team, and Jonquel Jones and the New York Liberty will also be in action a little later on. Crown Bahamas finest are getting after it, and we'll talk about all of that tomorrow evening. Until then, I'm Tage Adderley, and this is our Sports Weekend. I'll see you tomorrow night.
All right, thanks, Tage. Well, still to come on Our News Weekend, why eating healthy in the Bahamas is breaking the bank. The UN report that says growing our own food and supporting local markets could make a real difference for families. And we'll tell you the new tech program aiming to keep seniors healthy when Our News returns.
Diet-friendly special.
This is Our News Weekend. Welcome back. A warm and partly cloudy Saturday giving way to a few scattered showers, and Sunday expected to bring more of the same. We'll check in now with meteorologist Ian McKenzie for more on what you can expect this weekend. Ian?
Thanks, Kendino, and good evening, Bahamas. Welcome to your Saturday evening forecast. We're currently outside our studios. We're under cloudy skies with a temperature of 81. Feels like still very warm at 87. Winds from the south at 6 miles per hour. Temperatures across the country, we have 83 in Freeport, 82s in Marsh Harbor, as well as Governor's Harbor and Nicholstown, Andros, 85 in Allenstown, a pair of 81s in Great Albuquerque and in the capital. Central Bahamas, we have 83 in Camps Bay, 84s in Arthurstown and in Coburn Town, as well as Black Point, Exuma, 85 in Georgetown, a pair of 86s in Deadman's Key and Port Nelson, Rum Key. Southeast Bahamas, 85 in Duncantown, Colonel Hill and Delectable Bay, 84 in Abrahams Bay, a pair of 86s in Matthewtown and Providenciales, Turks and Caicos. Muggy conditions, unstable conditions. This is all courtesy of upper level troughing and a stall out frontal boundary just across the central northern Florida area. This will continue to impact weather conditions across our area, as well as localized low level troughing across the area should keep conditions pretty much unstable. That translates into rainy conditions for the start and pretty much most of the week. Tracking the tropics right now across our area, not much to talk about. However, the National Hurricane Center is monitoring a wave, giving it about a 30% chance for possible development during the next 7 days. Taking a look now at your boating forecast for the Northwest and Central Islands. Winds are just bearable at 10 knot seas, 1 to 3 feet. Low tide at 8 p.m. tonight, high tide at 1:42 a.m. tomorrow morning. Southeast Bahamas winds east to southeast 10 to 15 knots, seas 2 to 4 feet. So that translates into great boating conditions across the country. In your extended forecast, as I mentioned earlier, soggy conditions expected. The start of back to school, walk with your umbrella. Don't wear your new Clarks now. Put your old shoes there and then switch it out. But have a great night, everyone. Be safe and enjoy.
All right, thanks so much for that, Ian. Well, we're nearing the peak of the Atlantic hurricane season, and that means that we'll likely be seeing a whole lot more developments over the next several weeks. Now, that being said, so far there's been nearly half a dozen named storms, and experts say the best way to prepare is to stay informed. RTV, in that case, has got you covered with the newest edition of Storm Navigator with host Jasmine Brown and meteorologist Greg Thompson. The show is set to air this weekend, giving you essential facts, forecasts, and preparation tips for the season. So be sure and tune in to RTV channel 212 at 8 p.m. on Sunday, or if you're on the go, you can stream it right from the Our News Facebook page or the Our News YouTube channel. And now to eating healthy in the Bahamas. It's getting more expensive, and for many families, it's a real struggle. But just what's behind the rising costs of a balanced, nutritious meal? Well, our Danielle Miller, she's got stats from a recent United Nations report, and she speaks with a nutritionist to break it all down.
Backyard farming is something some of us take on as a hobby, but really and truly it should be a necessity for us all in this small island nation. A report published by the United Nations Food and Agriculture Organization earlier this year revealed what many of us suspected. The Bahamas' cost of a healthy diet is nearly 5% higher than the regional average. Group Corporate Wellness Manager for CG Atlantic and Zest Wellness and certified nutritionist Donovan Ingram tells me it's also contributing to food insecurity.
The Bahamas imports almost 80 to 90% of its food as well, so that puts us in a position where it causes insecurity when it comes to food.
But how does it drive up the cost of healthy food?
Thinking of those fruits and vegetables that were grown in California or in Canada, the amount of time it takes to get here to the Bahamas in terms of transportation, whether by air, by boat, by freight, in cars or in trucks, and that takes time, that takes fuel, and that hikes up the cost by the time it gets here into the country and is sold. Then it poses another question. When we import those foods, what nutrients are left in those foods for us to actually absorb?
Ingram says this simple cooperative action can flourish into a sustainable solution for this national issue.
One of the big things that we can do as a country is to create more food markets, create food growing programs, something like CG Atlantic favors itself on, creating farms and getting communities involved, creating farmers markets within communities.
Reporting for Our News, I'm Danielle Miller.
All right, thanks for that, Danielle. And staying healthy and safe, as we just heard there, it's a top priority, though, for many families these days, especially for our seniors. And this week, the Ministry of Health launched the Remember Me Too project, an AI-driven program designed to help elderly residents live more independently and with peace of mind. A soft launch happening at Public Hospitals Authority's corporate office, where Remember To, Inc. CEO Corlette DeVoe explained how it works.
REMI provides 24-hour real-time monitoring of your vitals, your hydration risks, your location, and this is meant to help reduce the risk of elopement. We all see the signs, missing persons, and we're looking for them. We want to help reduce the risk of elopement and wandering. REMI also engages in conversations. Seniors can now talk to REMI, so REMI can find out how they're doing. This is a part of the wellness check.
And over the next 8 weeks, 100 seniors from the Geriatric Hospital's Gerontology Clinic will be monitored using AI-powered tools. The aim is simple: help elderly participants stay healthy, prevent emergency hospital visits, and make life easier for their caregivers, all through a small smartwatch. Health Minister Dr. Michael Darville, who attended the launch, said the technology gives families peace of mind while proving and providing crucial insights to improve seniors' well-being.
This particular system has the ability to track health parameters such as blood pressure, heart rate, oxygen levels, and activity patterns in our adults who will be a part of this pilot project. The real-time data will provide invaluable insights to patients' well-being, helping us in the Bahamas to reduce hospitalizations, prevent complication, and relieve the burdens to families and caregivers who are responsible for the care of our elderly.
All right, to learn more about how AI is helping keep our seniors healthy, be sure and head over to ournews.bs. You can find all of the day's top stories there. And of course, you can share your favorite stories right from the Our News Bahamas Facebook page. With that, we thank you so much for joining us for Our News Weekend. On behalf of the entire team, I'm Candino Knowles. Have a safe and wonderful weekend.
Hey guys, Megan Shepherd here. Thank you so much for watching. Be sure to click that subscribe button if you want to see more content like this. Just click right over here. And don't forget to turn on your notifications so you stay up to date with content like this from the team you already trust.